Joey, this year flew by. Memorial Day weekend.
It's here.
We're recording the Monday before Memorial Day weekend. I'm also taking a note, some pages or notes out of Nick's book, the tank top today.
Get a little tan.
I came straight from the gym, legitimately. So,
well, listen. At least you don't smell bad. I'd be like, yo, what the?
I know a lot of people that know me personally, that I take great pride in how I smell.
Nah, you have to listen. I shower
You're
before
right over
the
there?
gym.
You're fidgeting with that?
I am fidgeting. I feel like it's not. I'm not close enough or something.
You're good. I hear you loud and clear.
I feel like I'm one of those guys. Like before and after the gym, I got to shower.
And I had a little because came straight here, busy schedule. But Memorial Day weekend's coming up this weekend, and first off, I would like to start by saying that at the Spot Podcast, we honor everybody that had served and paid the ultimate sacrifice, that is giving everybody the opportunity to have the freedom that we have, to give us the opportunity to continue to speak on some of the conspiracies freely and just be able to do things that other countries don't get to do. And you see that still to this day. So Memorial Day weekend, we thank all the members who paid the ultimate sacrifice. And a very good episode to piggyback off of Memorial Day is some ghost stories. We haven't done ghosts in a long time.
No, we haven't done spooky in a minute.
We haven't done spooky.
He's like, it'll be a surprise. I'm like, yo, I'm lost. What do we do? I'm winging it today.
I got a script today on a couple of things. And actually what I wanted to start off with.
I did send you something spooky the other day.
Did you?
The Annabelle thing.
Well, you know what we could start off with? I know, they brought it down to Georgia.
Did they?
Yeah,
oh, yeah, that's what it was.
To Georgia, yeah.
I'm not.
So we've touched on Gettysburg. We've touched on Gettysburg a few times, right? And it is one of the most haunted places in the United States, if not on the whole entire East Coast. Now, I posted a video. It's a repost yesterday. It's got like over 40,000 views already. It's a pretty significant piece of evidence. Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, Civil War, 3-day bloodbath, thousands of people died. I've been there twice. Crazy things happened there. Recently, there's a video circulating the internet of a father and son taking a picture at Devil's Den, which is one of the places on the battlefield of Gettysburg, where people were just massacred in this rock formation. Okay? And out on the right-hand side of the father and son, a figure appears, and it looks like he's wearing some type of hat. And the best way I can describe the hat, which I did in the post, is a pilgrim-esque hat, or even like a cowboy hat. And if you go to the page and you read the comments on the post that I posted, which is, again, a repost, reiterating that, you see people saying it's Hat Man. But the fact of the matter is, this Devil's Den, this site on the battlefield of Gettysburg, took place, obviously, in the Battle of Gettysburg. So it's more likely to be some type of Confederate soldier, because they had more cowboy-esque style hats they would wear. Maybe I could be wrong on that. The Union had more of like the 6 to 8 pointed hats, or something to that extent, like kind of like a military style hat that you wear for show now, with the brim is flat and then there's like a square in the front. That they had those type of hats. Gettysburg is a really significant battle in a lot of the wars that took place in the United States. And I wanted to start off, again, because of that video and Memorial Day weekend, Billy's notes.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm not taking his segment, but I had to do some work on this because, Nick he's a busy man. But Gettysburg, Pennsylvania was the site of the bloodiest battle of the Civil War, July 1863. Over 50,000 casualties in that battle of Gettysburg in a 3-day span. Memorial Day, originally Decoration Day, began shortly after Civil War to honor those who died in battle, with Gettysburg becoming a central site of remembrance. So if you go to Gettysburg, it's one of the central sites this weekend for people to honor people that have fallen in battles. Now, here are the claims, and we're going to start with Devil's Den. Visitors claim to see a barefoot soldier in a ragged uniform, believed to be a Texan sharpshooter. Remember I told you cowboy hat? He points towards the rocks, then he appears at points at the rocks, and then all of a sudden vanishes without showing himself to people. Usually people just like see it in a picture, like the video, or they'll catch a glimpse and he'll disappear. That's a very big part of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. That Devil's Den, a lot of people see things there. And this recent video showed, what did I say? Guy in a cowboy hat. These notes, it's supposed to be a Texan sharpshooter. It's one of the many spirits there. Now, when I went to Devil's Den years ago, I would hear reports of whispers, agony, like people laying on the floor in agony. Because remember, during the Civil War, they were using some pretty big bullets. And you get shot by that, you're going to be in a lot of pain.
Yeah, if it didn't take you out completely.
If you didn't take you out completely, and then what they would do is the medics would come and try to carry you off wherever you were. And then eventually, if you were shot in the arm or you shot in the leg, there was no morphine, there was none of that stuff. They basically tie you up, tourniquet, cut your limb off. That was the way.
That would have been like just fucking.
That's the way of fixing the problem. While you're alive, kicking and screaming as they saw into your flesh.
That's crazy. Most of the people died just from that surgery anyway.
Shock, loss of blood, you know what I mean?
No antibiotics, whatever.
No, definitely people got infections. But you did see some photos from the past that show soldiers on canes or crutches.
Missing a limb.
Missing limbs to that extent. So Devil's Den.
They're lucky if they're missing a limb and they survived.
Yeah. And Devil's Den, I walked through Devil's Den. I don't remember it when I was in my teenage years, but I don't remember it being that big. And in this video, it shows a formation where it was like a pretty open side. It's pretty big, I guess, like a round. I mean, not big, but it's pretty round. So it could have been a different entrance or a point to Devil's Den. I don't remember anything spooky happening. Although in the video, it looks like these people were there at dusk. So there was that nightfall-esque that could have played a factor. Could it be logically explained what exactly it was? Yeah, maybe, but it definitely to me wasn't a shadow. Because shadows just don't move in and out of crevices, appear and then disappear while they're standing still, ready for their timer to go off on their phone to take a picture. So that's to my extent.
Man, but trying to get in on this photo real quick.
Yeah, well, and also looked very shadow person-esque. It's very dark. Couldn't really make out details. You could just make out the detail of what it looked like, as far as it was like an outline, like cowboy hat, and then a figure. And then it did a kind of like it dipped in and dipped out type thing. Now I had cut the
Zahi Hawash was there. You come to the site.
Yeah.
And I show you. It was not ghost. I have the proof.
Yeah, I have the proof. I could 5 minutes that lasted with that episode. 5 minutes. So here's a fun fact. Even Steven Spielberg's Lincoln cast reported strange experiences when they were filming nearby at the battle site of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. So isn't that crazy? So Gettysburg, Pennsylvania plays a very significant part in Memorial Day. And it, to me, will always be one of the most haunted places I've ever visited. I went there on 2 occasions, and the amount of activity that I experienced on both occasions was absolutely insane, to be honest with you. It was. So what is your take on that, Joe? I know you're more of a skeptic on the ghosts.
I mean, like we talked about before, I mean, is it possible that like there's some kind of energy field there that because so many people have died that it creates some type of bridge between the past and the present?
I just think the energy, honestly speaking.
Like, what if we're just catching glimpses of the past? You know what I mean? Like coming into our time frame, something like a. I'm trying to think of it like what good time travel movie would explain that, like our time merging with the time of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. I mean, or the time of the war.
Dial of Destiny.
Yeah.
They had the airplane coming in during the war that was going on. What was it?
That was also just traveling to that time.
Right.
But I think what we could be seeing, merging? Like maybe like cameras are picking up, some type of bridge between time, and we're able to see into the past.
Could have sworn there's a ghost.
We could perceive it as a ghost, but what if that person is just alive and we're just witnessing them in their time frame?
Also, a Ghostbuster cartoon episode, I believe they did something like that. Like Manhattan, it was like a whole bunch of things popping up, and it was like a time lapse. And I remember Egon. Yeah, something like that.
I feel like I've seen that somewhere before. I feel like that's a pretty plausible thing, more so than ghosts.
Ghostbusters, the real Ghostbusters cartoon, phenomenal cartoon.
Yeah, I remember it.
Still top tier to this day. I can still sit there and watch them. They were really good. There were actually some really good stories in there. Yeah. Some really scary ones. But anyways, I got another one on the list. You said your grandfather was part of the Navy, yeah?
Yep, and my father.
And your dad. Mm-hmm. Check this out. The USS Lexington and the story of the Blue Ghost. Okay. The USS Lexington, CV-16, served in World War II and was so resilient the Japanese believed they had sunk her multiple times. The nickname for her became the Blue Ghost. She served until 1991. Believe that? Fairly recently, if you want to look at it that way. And it is now in a museum, now as a museum ship in Corpus Christi, Texas. Thousands of sailors served aboard her. Some never made it home. Now, here are the claims of the Blue Ghost. Tour guide Charlie. Many visitors report interacting with a helpful tour guide named Charlie, only to find out no one works there by that name. Now, you go back to the Gettysburg stuff. There would be people walking the battlefield of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, seeing a regiment pass by, trumpets, flags, shooting out the guns, doing the formation, the whole thing. People will go back to the tour center, which is only one, if I remember correctly, unless they built something different since I've been there. They go to the tour person, the person working the tour house, small. They're like, "Well, that was a great reenactment. When's the next one?" Person looks at the paper and goes, "There's no reenactment today scheduled." Charlie, the Phantom Regiment in Gettysburg. This is stuff that happens quite often in paranormal occurrences. The sick bay. Ghostly moans, sudden cold spots, and even full apparitions of wounded sailors have been reported on the Lexington. And hangar bay. Lights flickering, objects move on their own, and some say that they hear sounds of aircraft engines long after the planes flew off the ship. So again, that embedded energy. And somebody named Charlie must have been on the USS Lexington and really had a love and devotion for being on that boat to even give tours long after his demise.
He's gone.
Isn't that crazy?
That's something, if it's true.
You know what? If a lot of people...
I'm going to come on this podcast one day and I'll have a story and then people will know that it's all real. Like the day that I give a story that I'm like, listen.
But what about your sister?
I mean, that was a good one. But like there was nobody in the picture behind her, but could have been like a light reflection, you know what I mean? Like some sort of like reflection in the mirror of something else that might have made it look that way.
Possible. Quite possible.
Not in the mirror, but in the glass, I should say, right?
So I got a creepy detail bonus for you, right? And I found this interesting when I was combing the internet from my phone the past couple of days, but this was pretty cool. Security footage allegedly caught shadows. This is security footage from the boat. Shadows moving across a locked room in the middle of the night. Now, this is their security camera and their reports from the crew that works the ship, that work there. And there is former and current military working on the ship. It's a landmark. They have to be there. And they're going through the footage. And they saw, in a locked room, stuff moving around. And it has been actually documented that that's what's going on there. Mm-hmm. Now, when you have evidence like that and you have crew members and people that work at the sites, that's when you start winning me over. When there's officials like police officers, army officials, former military officials actually saying, yeah, we saw something pretty crazy. We caught it on camera. And that's when the evidence becomes undisputable. Mm-hmm. So your thoughts on evidence from a job site? Like if you worked at a bar, back in the day. I
mean, if I got the evidence myself and I knew the video wasn't tampered, I'd be like, yeah. Something's going on. This is weird. But, people have motives. People like to believe in the afterlife and the paranormal because it gives them a sense of ease that there's something after. Like, this is not, this life is not just in vain or for no particular reason. There is a purpose and a place that we're headed,
Well, interesting that you said that because my doppelganger, Jeremy Renner, did you listen to some of the podcasts he's been on lately?
He said he didn't want to come back from his near-death experience.
He legitimately died and said that he saw the light. He said that it wasn't like he was seeing it in like from his body. It was like somewhere else. He didn't want to come back, but he's glad he did. And he has, and a Hollywood celebrity has probably a new outlook on a lot of things and had an NDE. Now, that could also be explained because your body does things when it dies. It releases
your brain.
What was that? I forgot the name.
Dimethyltryptamine.
It does. Also, the other one that's on the ayahuasca. That's
DMT.
DMT. That's
That's
right.
what it stands for.
DMT is released in your brain, and it is there, and it's released, and that can explain scientifically, if you're, want to play devil's advocate, scientifically, what if you wake up and you're lucky enough to bounce back from a near-death experience, why you experienced that. The DMT, will make you see things, go through your memory, and you're going to start seeing lights and glances of certain things. Your body's going into a peaceful state, so you're probably getting a lot of peaceful imagery from the DMT, all that in that nature. And scientifically, that could explain why people see the bright light. The bright light thing is, I don't
know, but
I think
there
touched
is something strange that recently been popping up on my feed. A lot of people have been making videos about it.
That gingers are black?
No, that you got to tell Nick that one.
I did.
Okay,
I can't save that for after the podcast. I don't want to get in trouble.
There was that people have been posting, but there's like this one about this guy who died, and I don't know how or what scientific instrumentation they used to determine that his energy went from, or they were trying to track it.
I sent you this.
And he was...
Is it a planet?
It was on another side of the fucking galaxy.
Yes. This was from Russia.
In a nebula, yes.
This is...
So with a grain of salt, it's from Russian studies or Russian scientists.
Yeah, I don't know. The Russian scientists and the stories.
But he literally just died, and then they're like, his energy, his signature, right?
Right.
Like that frequency ended up from there all the way in an instant on another side of the galaxy.
To piggybacks for people that can follow a little better. These Russian scientists were trying to figure out how the brain operates when they die.
Right.
So from a certain stage in their life, they were being monitored, and they had something embedded in their brain. So there's, kind of like an Elon Musk type thing. And it's basically reading the brain frequencies of a person that's alive to the time of their demise. And this individual, when he passed away, the Russian scientist discovered that his brain frequency somehow ended up on this fairly newly discovered planet that is supposed to be, quote unquote, inhabitable. How they know it's inhabitable when it's like 400 million light years away is beyond me. But somehow, some way, they picked up his energy. How they did this, I don't even know. Can't even begin to fathom that. But they picked up the energy from this dude who passed away on this planet galaxies away.
He's reborn.
Insane. That's pretty crazy. That was it. That was interesting. I watched that video. See, there's videos that I start and I'm like, bullshit, shut it off. Go to the next one. That video I watched and I was like, dude, sending it to you. If I send you something, that means I watched it full.
That's definitely trippy. I mean, I don't know how they'd come to that conclusion. I'd love to see the science behind that. And
I would
know the details on how they determined
details.
It. But if that is indeed true, then it shows that there is some sort of purpose or afterlife or just reincarnation somewhere else.
Yeah.
Now,
the next one. I got 3 for Memorial Day weekend. My dad's a Vietnam veteran. These are actually his dog tags that I wear for good luck. We explained on an Instagram post why I'm wearing them. We all know the deal. But Vietnam War was a war that these people fought. And when they returned home, were spit on, cursed at, because the people here were made to believe that the war was for nothing. And essentially it was kind of like a war where we probably could have avoided it. But when the men and women that went there to fight this war, they went for the sole purpose to fight for the United States of America. And there is a memorial. I don't know if you noticed when you came in, there's that picture on the wall downstairs. Mm-hmm. And that is a deep photo. It's a photo, I'll pull it up on YouTube. It's a photo of a man touching the Vietnam Veteran Wall Memorial with all the thousands of names on there. And I guess his brother or comrade or friend is on the wall, trapped in the wall, putting his hand to his friend that's mourning the loss and the remembrance of him not being here. And in the background of the ghost, the spirit, there's other people there. And it's a deep photo. It's been a deep photo. I've seen that photo as a kid. It's stuck in my mind. And my dad told me stories of Vietnam on more than one occasion. My dad also had the luxury of not only coming home alive, but having the luxury of serving with my Uncle Dominic. Went in together, and they signed up. They didn't get like lottoed in or drafted in. They signed up together. They went in together, served in like a regiment or a unit together, and they made it back home. And the Vietnam War is something that is not talked about as much as it should be. It's was frowned upon heavily
Yeah.
during that time span, from the 60s into the 70s. And the Vietnam War has, believe it or not, a couple of ghost stories, and I wanted to include that for my father. So the Vietnam Veterans Memorial was dedicated in 1982 and lists over 58,000 names of American servicemen and women who died in the Vietnam War. So 58,000.
Wow.
Okay.
I think that's more than we lost in 10 years or 10 plus years in Iraq.
It might be. I don't have the.
I don't. I think we lost maybe 2,000 people.
I don't
in
have the
Iraq.
exact. And I also don't have the ChatGPT phone on me today. I forgot it at home when I was charging. But anyways, every Memorial Day, thousands gather to pay tribute to the many to the people that passed away in the Vietnam War, and they also can feel an unshakable presence at the memorial wall that is in Washington. Faces in the wall. Tourists have captured photos showing what appears to be soldiers' faces reflected in the black granite, even when no one else is around. Now, I'm going to stop there for a second. They build this memorial. So people are building it for the people that lost. They're using a type of mineral, a black granite. Everyone's building it. They're putting their passion, their soul into it. It's possible that you can attract the souls and the spirits from that war, from that catastrophic circumstances that they were in, and gruesome deaths too. Napalm, being blown up, chopped, booby traps by the Vietnamese that they would set up where you'd fall into a hole into spikes, snakes, spiders,
Torture. POWs.
Cobra Kai. Have you seen the Cobra Kai series? That's kind of like what they would do.
That's what happened.
Throw them into a snake pit. Yeah, it's legit stuff. It's possible in the process of building a memorial wall that you can, like seances. What do you do at a seance? You are bringing in the spirit to talk to them. Building something for the spirits lost at a particular circumstance could possibly draw them in, especially if you're building it with a material. Because we say, a lot of paranormal investigators, that the elements, minerals, water, nature can help manifest paranormal activity. Bring the energy that we can't see, manifest it into the energy here that we can feel and sense. Touch phenomenon. Some visitors claim to feel a hand on their shoulder, gentle, like someone is saying, thank you, or I'm here, only to find when they turn around, no one behind them. Children have also reported ghostly presences at the memorial. Kids are known to see and feel more than adults. That's a fact. We've talked about it on many occasions. Several parents have shared stories of their children waving to somebody invisible at the wall. To debunk that, if I seen me as a little kid in a reflection, I would do stupid shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's possible they could be doing that, but if they're at a boring place. As a kid, you don't want to see that. 7, 8 years old, you go into a big black wall with names on it. You're going to have fun? No. But if you actually turn to your mom or your dad and be like, yeah, this guy's waving to me. It's a pretty imaginative state to be in, to say something batshit crazy like that to your parents and be like, yeah, I just saw something there. You know what I mean?
Well, I'll give you one. My uncle, when he was a kid, he was about 5, they said. I was probably just born. And when I was just born, I had met my great-grandmother, and then shortly after, she passed away. And my uncle was playing with himself in the living room, talking to himself, right? And they said that when they asked him who he was talking to, and he was, I'm talking to Grandma. And then they're like, you don't see her? She's right there. You know, so it's like, when they asked him, where is she? And he said, she's right there. And he was 5, so he clearly, distinctly felt like she was there with him and he was talking to her. He probably doesn't remember this now, but they all were like, he was talking to her, and she had to have been there. Why would he say that? You know, he's 5. He's not like 2 or 1 where he'd just have an imaginary friend.
Wow.
You know? And I don't even think that he knew that she had passed away yet.
I don't have a kid story, but I have something that goes with the Vietnam stuff. Mm-hmm. And I told this story on the podcast before. So when I was young, my dad was laying with me, and my mom had went to, I guess, go to the bathroom. And when she had went back into the room, she saw a man staring at my dad and me in bed, and he was sleeping with me. And I was young. And the next morning, I guess he vanished the way I remember the story. And the next morning, my mom described the individual, because she could see him pretty well, to make descriptions of what she saw. And my dad said that it was his friend that he lost in Vietnam.
Whoa.
Yeah. Crazy. My family's we have a couple of weird, spooky stories, but that one in particular correlates with this.
It means you got people looking over you.
Yeah. And one of his friends or buddies he made over there, and you got to become friends with everyone quick. You're going to be going guns blazing with them, and you got to have their back. It's like being on a baseball team. You have to have everybody's back. You can't be like just shit talking somebody like, yo, you struck out again. Like, you got to support them, tweak certain things. Same thing with hockey and football. You got to be in sync with one another, especially in a situation where it's life or death. Sports ain't life or death.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Except for boxing and MMA.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the only sport you don't play.
But you're going in there by yourself. You know what I mean? You're fighting other people. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, so. The most famous photo in 1980, an image of 1980.
To that, you have people in your corner, though, that you go back to each round.
That's true.
That
is true.
Those are your teammates.
That is true, too. They're telling you how you're doing and what you should do, but you're in there
alone.
Dolo.
Yeah.
You get shot in the leg, you kind of want to, you've seen Lone Survivor?
Mm-hmm.
When we were Wahlberg, when we were in Afghanistan, and they were trying to do everything they could to be together, and then he was by himself. That was rough. That was actually hard to watch.
Yeah.
A 1980s image by photographer Tim Stanley shows a soldier, a ghostly figure, reaching from the wall towards a man standing in front of it. It became a symbol of memory and mystery from the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. And those were the 3 stories for Memorial Day I thought were appropriate, that I deemed appropriate going into the Memorial Day weekend. And, Labor Day, Memorial Day weekend, these are significant times where Labor Day, not so much, but
Memorial Day. It's a time of reflection.
Veterans Day, Memorial Day.
You want to remember why you're here. It's not just a barbecue. It's not just, there's a reason why we're able to enjoy these luxuries.
Yeah.
We stand on the backs of those that, made the ultimate sacrifice for their family and themselves.
I always try Memorial Day weekend to wear something with the red, white, and blue. I do my best to do it. I don't have I'm not one of those like, wear the flag type person, and then also, unfortunately today, I'm saying it, I don't care what people think, but, there's a lot of discrepancies or issues with people that blatantly wear American flags. And there's like this...
Yeah, it's like this stigma to be patriotic now.
It's a stigma like, oh, if you wear an American flag, then... we know who you voted for. No, that's not necessarily true, because if you go to other countries, especially during pre-soccer season, post-soccer season, or most recently...
Which is crazy. So when is the appropriate time to don the American flag?
Every day is an appropriate time. It doesn't, and the stigma that came up in the last few months or a year should stop. Because the other day I'm watching on the treadmill, the Vatican had the inauguration of the Pope Leo. And there are thousands of people there to witness this. And they have, what are they holding? Not only religious symbolism like crosses and pictures of the Virgin Mary or Jesus, but they're holding their flags up. Because the Pope represents everybody in every country that is in the Catholic faith. They're holding their flags up. I saw the Brazilian flag. I saw the Argentinian flag, the Colombian flag, the Puerto Rican flag. I saw Chile, Haiti. I saw flags from lots of countries while I'm on the treadmill watching. I'm like, look, they're bringing their flags. So wearing the American flag this weekend doesn't make you that you voted for somebody in particular. It doesn't mean you're anti-right, anti-left. It just means you're proud to fucking live in this country.
Yeah.
And you're supporting the men and women
that
passed away to give you the opportunity to bitch about wearing the American flag. That someone's wearing the American flag. They gave you the opportunity to put that flag on freely without some British guy telling you can't wear that because you didn't give me your tax for the tea. So just know that you can wear the American flag this weekend and any time, because Memorial Day was the ultimate sacrifice for people that are not currently here with us, but may quite possibly be still around watching over us.
Mm-hmm. Well said.
Right?
Well said.
Fucking, I should be on radio, man.
Get me emotional over here,
That was off the top of my head, too.
Top of the dome.
Fucking Dr. Seuss better watch out, dude. I didn't rhyme, but damn, like that came out of no. You know what it is? Mushrooms. And you can make motivational speeches too. You know how? Spotify for Creators. If you have an idea and you want to get it out there and create your own podcast, head over to Spotify for Creators. If you have a laptop, computer, or phone, head over to Spotify for Creators to get started. Joey?
Yep.
I skipped a line there. Did you notice that?
Yeah, you did.
I did. It's all right. Sometimes you wing it. It still came out nice and smooth.
If you had a podcast or an idea for a podcast and you want to get it
Out there, head over to Spotify for Creators to get started. There you go.
I finished it.
I went. It only took you 4. It only took you 4 years to get that down pat, man. Yeah. I used to tell Joey, I was like, Joe, you want to do the?
I was like, no.
And then he would try it, and he'd be like, but no, that was pretty good. I had to just
Take the mic and throw it across the room.
I just sometimes you know what, you're in the moment, and you just gotta just switch it up sometimes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're tired of hearing if you have a podcast idea and you need a way to get it out there, sometimes you gotta switch it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Spotify switched up their names like God knows how many times. It was Anchor, it was Spotify for
Oh man, I remember that was our
podcasters.
our little mini mic days.
Spotify for Creators now. Yeah,
Be like, don't move too far to the left. Don't just stay right there.
If you guys seen how unorthodox we were, but you know what, we came in one way. We have a lot of fans, we have a lot of followers, and we're picking up steam, and we're just doing what we love. And of course, next week, no episode. It's Memorial Day week. We're doing this. Today is the 19th. It's Memorial Day week. Next week, we're going to be enjoying our time with our family and friends, remembering. But of course, if you want to catch up on all the content, you can catch up on other episodes, or go over to the swab_podcast Instagram page. That is where we post predominantly, where you can get all the reels, the news, and funny photos, and Nick jokes, and dad jokes, Joey's pretty face, and me posting motivational speeches that people have a problem with because I kind of got in shape a little bit. Fuck
All
it.
right.
Whatever. It's cool. Cool story.
You can't make everyone happy, bro.
Can't make everybody happy, but
This
you know
is it.
what? I'm pretty happy.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Let's count. That's what they'll listen.
Sometimes. Joe, good job.
Yes,
Hey,
sir.
if you're not doing anything Sunday, let me know.
Definitely.
All right, brother?
All right.
And that has been another episode
Say
of
what?
the Say What Again, Billy
Billy podcast.
podcast.